So today we are going to be making some wassail, and these are basically the ingredients that you need minus the sugar. I apologize, I did not set that out. But you're going to need some cranberry juice, some apple juice, or you can also use apple cider, some lemon juice, orange juice, some whole cloves, some tea, and I'll explain that in a little bit. Cheesecloth, also some baker's twine, and then some cinnamon sticks. Now I picked up these cinnamon sticks at the Dollar Tree, but you can buy them anywhere. The baker's twine, I can't remember where I ended up getting that. I'm not sure that the Dollar Tree sells the kind that you can actually use for cooking. But I do know that the Dollar Tree does sell this cheesecloth, and it is in the aisle where all of the zip bags and things like that is. They're usually hanging on those little strips. So anyway, it's a very simple recipe to make, and it's very, very tasty, especially for the holiday season. So. Okay, so basically all you're doing is putting everything into your pot to combine it. And just so you know, for the tea, I did go ahead and brew me a batch of tea just because we needed some for our family, and I am going to get my 6 cups of tea from that. However, if you don't already have some tea on hand, what I would suggest you to do is put 6 cups of water into your pot and then just add 1 tea bag to your brew. And I think that's how I made it last year. If you do use tea that you have already made and it is sweetened, I would just say to just reduce your sugar by 1/2 cup. I think the recipe calls for 1.5 cups. So I'm going to turn my burner on to just medium right now, and then I am going to go ahead and put my tea in here. Not really sure it matters which one you start with, but I am going to go ahead and start with this one just because I want to go ahead and get in the refrigerator. And then this that I'm using here measures 2 cups. So I'm going to put 3 of these in here. I'm hoping that my pot is actually going to be big enough. I may should have divided this in half. I'm not really sure. It just seems like it calls for quite a bit of liquid. If you're going to make this for a gathering, of course the ingredients the way it is would work out well. If you're only going to make it for a small gathering or just your family, I would say to half this recipe. So this is my 6 cups of tea, and it already just about fills my pot up halfway. What I decided to do was I went ahead and divided up the tea, and I did change my pot to a little bit bigger pot, but I still don't think it's going to fit in here, so I just divided it up, and I've got another pot sitting over here, and I'm just going to take it and I'm going to do half the recipe in this pot, half in this pot. That way I have plenty of room, because you are going to want to have room to stir and let it, bubble and simmer and all of that. So I've got 1.5 cups of sweet tea in this one, and then I'm going to do the same thing for everything else. I'm just going to do 1.5 cups of the cranberry juice. And this, because it does call for 6 cups, sorry, not 1.5 cups. I have 3 cups in here, 3 in here, and then I'm going to do 3 in this with the cranberry juice. So I'm going to fill this up to 2 cups, pour that in, and then do 1 more cup. And then I'm just going to do the same in the other side. Now I'm going to add my apple juice. And these juices do have a lot of sugar in it, so depending on how sweet you want this to be, you may decide that you want to tweak the amount of sugar that you put into it. Now the recipe did not say to not use pulp in the orange juice. I just figure for this, I don't really want pulp in my tea, so I did get the orange juice with no pulp. Sorry, my dog's going a little crazy. I think my husband's home. So with this, it is going to be 1.5 cups to split it. And so now I'm calling for 1.5 cups of lemon juice. And so since I'm splitting this, it's just going to be, 1 cup and 1/4. Now I'm splitting this, I'm going to do 1/2 cup and then 1/8 cup. And I just took my 1/4 cup and filled it in half. And before I add my spices to this, I'm just going to stir it really good. And this already smells really good without adding the other stuff. So So I'm going to add my spices. So I'm just unrolling my cheesecloth that I have here, and I'm just going to double it over and cut a square, just enough. I want to be able to put my stuff inside of it and then pull it up and be able to tie it off. So I figure this is a pretty good size to use. So now I'm just going to wind this around a couple of times. And then I'm going to tie it in a pretty good and tight knot. I'm going to cut a little bit off of this because I don't need all that extra cloth hanging off. That's my little sachet of spices. I'm just going to drop this in here and just let it stay in there until this is done. You know, once all the flavors have been released out of it, then I will pull that out and throw that in the trash. But I'm going to let it simmer on the stove for probably an hour, just so that all those flavors marinate really nicely. And this is something that you could also do in your crock pot as well. If you do, you know, not drink it all when you first make it, just put it in the refrigerator and then just heat it up by the cup when you want to use it. And something else that's really nice for garnishment, if you're going to serve this to people, when you put this in whatever dish it is that you're going to have them dip it out of, or even if you just leave it in the pot, you could take some orange slices or some apple slices and then just float those on the top of this, and it's really pretty presentation. I'm not sure how the apple slices would do, because I know apples do tend to turn brown when you slice those, but last year when I made this, I did float 3 or 4 slices of oranges, you know, on top, and it looked really, really pretty.